In the dimly lit antechamber of a secretive enclave, a candidate for initiation awaits his entrance into the enigmatic world of Freemasonry. Blindfolded, he stands uncertainly, a noose around his neck with a rope leading him into the unknown. The doorkeeper strikes the door thrice, the echoes sending a clear message. A soul stands ready for the clandestine rites. A seeker desires the guarded secrets of Freemasonry, he declares. And then, as the door slowly opens, an inner guardian with a dagger's sharp tip meets the vulnerable flesh of the candidate's chest. "Can you feel the edge of destiny?" the guardian demands, ensuring the candidate is aware of the weight of the ceremony. The candidate is then ushered to the worshipful master, the head of this ancient gathering. As he stands before the master, the rope, or cable tow, as it's known in their cryptic parlance, guides him to a sacred altar where rests a holy book. But this is no ordinary pledge. As he kneels, his right hand swears allegiance on the scripture, and his left meets the cold touch of a compass. He vows a chilling promise, binding himself to protect the hallowed mysteries of Freemasonry, or face an unimaginable fate: a throat sliced open, a tongue torn asunder, and a resting place beneath the tidal sands. Witnesses to this profound act, the assembled brothers rise in unison, offering their own enigmatic salute. The master, his voice echoing with age-old power, inquires about the candidate's quest. "The light," comes the whispered reply, and with the striking of the master's gavel, the blinding veil is removed. Now, an awakened initiate is presented with the trinity of Masonic relics: the holy book, the square, and the compass. But the initiation is far from over. He's taught clandestine gestures, introduced to the shrouded term bows, and is bestowed with symbolic instruments. This intense rite climaxes with stringent mandates, from the reverence of a higher power to the unerring obedience to the Masonic hierarchy. Above all, the sanctity of secrecy reigns supreme. Yet this is merely the beginning. Above the entered apprentice lies a pyramid of further mysteries: fellow craft and master mason. Each harbors its own vows and dire consequences. But as we delve deeper into this enigma, one might wonder, is this truly a secret society, or is it an organization hiding in plain sight? Many Freemasons bristle at the term secret society, pointing to their open markers across towns and cities. Yet their covert rituals, selective recruitment, and guarded knowledge surely align with what one would define as clandestine. The dichotomy becomes even clearer when one considers that the intricate rituals, often considered clandestine, have been discernible to the discerning eye. For those peering into this shadowy world, Freemasonry dubs them cowens. This term once referred to unaccredited tradesmen but evolved to depict outsiders attempting to unravel the fraternity's mysteries. And while one may believe they know the ritual of initiation, it's merely a drop in the vast ocean of Freemasonry's iterations. There isn't just one monolithic order. Jurisdictions differ, rites vary, and lodges may follow different edicts. Some embrace women, others remain exclusively male. The age of entrance may waver between 18 to 25. America alone juggles between the ancient free and accepted Masons and free and accepted Masons with divergent governance across states. Yet all trace their lineage to the Grand Lodge of England. One might wonder, how can one Grand Lodge give birth to such a multitude of variations? It's a question that plumbs the depths of the very essence of Freemasonry, a labyrinthine organization with myriad chambers. But at its heart, the essence of Freemasonry remains enigmatic. Ask a Mason about their lodge's purpose, and you'll often be met with a simple answer: fellowship. But is there more to it than meets the eye? The quest for answers continues. The multifaceted nature of Freemasonry is both intriguing and complex. Its vast array of traditions, practices, and teachings offers a diverse range of interpretations, leading one to wonder about the core tenets that bind Masons together. To the uninitiated, deciphering the underlying beliefs or practices of Freemasonry might seem daunting due to the myriad of interpretations that exist across lodges and rites. However, What's evident is the adaptability of Masonic traditions. They mold themselves according to various cultures, societies, and individual beliefs, all while remaining under the expansive umbrella of Freemasonry. This adaptability could very well be the secret behind its centuries-long persistence and global spread. By catering to the specific beliefs, contexts, and purposes of different cultures and societies, Freemasonry has developed a rich spectrum of traditions. While they differ in specifics, many share common themes rooted in personal growth, moral integrity, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. The emphasis on making good men better is a consistent theme that resounds throughout these diverse rites and traditions. Yet, the subjective nature of what better entails means its interpretation can significantly vary from one lodge or Mason to another. Looking at the broader tapestry of Freemasonry's various traditions, it becomes evident that they are reflections of universal human inclinations: the yearning for belonging, the quest for deeper understanding, and the desire for personal evolution. Across ages, mankind has been driven by a thirst to unravel the universe's mysteries, seeking answers about existence and life's purpose. Freemasonry, with its structured approach, offers a platform to explore these profound questions while also fostering a deep sense of community and shared mission. However, the organization's elusive nature has also sparked controversies, debates, and conspiracy theories, especially given its influence in spheres ranging from politics to commerce. Despite the air of mystery and layers of ritualistic practices, Freemasonry's heart remains anchored in principles of brotherhood, ethical living, and knowledge-seeking. The diverse rites and variations within Freemasonry might appear to some as indications of an inconsistent or fragmented tradition. Yet others perceive this diversity as a testament to the organization's resilience, adaptability, and undying relevance. In an ever-evolving world, the capability to adapt while upholding foundational values might indeed be the hallmark of true strength and enduring legacy. Delving deeper into the intricate tapestry of Freemasonry, one is drawn into a world where symbolism, degrees, and titles play a pivotal role. The rites have a rich array of degrees, from the familiar Scottish rite, which many consider having 33, to the awe-inspiring Memphis and Mizraim rite that boasts a staggering 99 degrees. With captivating titles such as the Knight of the Rose Cross, Knight Hermetic Philosopher, Patriarch of Isis, and the Pontiff of the Mystic City, the Memphis and Mizraim rite presents a mosaic of teachings and symbols. It raises the tantalizing question: did the Freemasons of the past perceive these rites as profound mystical journeys, or were they elaborate performances, mere theatricals meant to captivate the initiate's imagination? The origins of modern Freemasonry trace back to the year 1717 in the bustling city of London. The formation of the Grand Lodge of England marked a significant milestone. This institution emerged from the harmonious union of 4 previously independent lodges. This unity ignited a spark that soon transformed into a wildfire, with the Masonic teachings and lodges proliferating not just in England, but across various corners of the globe. By the turn of the 18th century, England was home to over 300 affiliated lodges. This Masonic movement didn't confine itself to England's borders. Grand lodges sprung up in Ireland and Scotland, giving rise to what could aptly be termed a Masonic franchise. However, no great movement is without its tribulations. In the 1730s, the Grand Lodge faced a significant internal rift. 2 factions, the Ancients and the Moderns, locked horns over the sanctity and significance of Masonic rituals and their mystical traditions. The Moderns, inspired and influenced by the Age of Enlightenment's rationalist fervor, wished to discard ritualism. In stark contrast, the Ancients, steadfast in their commitment to tradition, ardently championed its preservation. This schism highlighted a fundamental question regarding Freemasonry's identity. Was it primarily a social, political, and philosophical entity, or a deeply mystical and religious order? This ideological divide wasn't confined to the British Isles. It reverberated across the Atlantic, influencing American colonial lodges. By the turn of the 19th century, A truce was brokered, with the moderns and ancients finding common ground in 1813. Rituals regained their revered position, and the focus shifted towards a more harmonious integration of politics and mysticism within the Masonic framework. Freemasonry, with its secretive undertones, soon caught the wary eyes of the British Parliament. The tail end of the 18th century was marred by suspicions of secret societies being hubs for revolutionary ideas and espionage. Legislation threatened to dismantle any society operating under the cloak of secrecy. However, the Freemasons, with their impeccable standing and societal clout, it didn't hurt to have royalty among their ranks, navigated these choppy waters skillfully. Their continued operation was sanctioned, with the sole condition being meticulous record-keeping of their members. But to assume that Freemasonry's rich history began in the 18th century would be simplistic. Speculative Freemasonry, as scholars posit, had been unfolding for at least 3 centuries prior. Historic lodges, like the renowned Kilwinning Mother Lodge in Scotland, assert origins dating back to the 12th century. And then there's the Grand Lodge of All England in York, which traces its roots back to the era of the Anglo-Saxon King Athelstan in 926. Foundational to these lodges are the revered old charges, manuscripts that shaped their rituals and regulations. The ancient Regius or Halliwell manuscript, believed to be penned around 1390, is perhaps the oldest among them. It doesn't just chronicle Masonic principles, but intriguingly ties the craft to the likes of the renowned mathematician Euclid from around 300 BC. The narrative suggests that Euclid counterfeited geometry, leading to Freemasonry's inception. The conundrum of what counterfeit geometry entails, much like many Masonic traditions, remains cloaked in mystery. Additional manuscripts, like the Cook manuscript of 1450, also weave tales connecting Freemasonry to illustrious figures such as King Solomon, and even stretch its lineage back to the biblical Adam. By the mid-1500s, the Dowland manuscript further cemented the connection to Solomon's temple and its fabled master mason, Hiram Abiff. This fascinating journey through Masonic history, rife with lore, intrigue, and the struggle for identity, underscores the depth and diversity of an organization that has spanned centuries and cultures. Its enduring allure isn't just in its rites and rituals, but in its ceaseless quest for enlightenment, brotherhood, and moral evolution. In the labyrinthine annals of Freemasonry, the tragic tale of Hiram Abiff stands out as a poignant chapter. According to Masonic lore, Abiff, the Master Mason, met a tragic end at the hands of 3 apprentices who coveted the secrets he held. This tale, ingrained in Masonic teachings, underscores the mysteries that envelop the order's origins. Without a clear historical roadmap, the Masonic past became an expansive canvas, ripe for myriad interpretations and tales. One such intriguing hypothesis postulates a connection between the Freemasons and the legendary Knights Templar, who carved their mark during the Crusades era. Although this link gained popularity and acceptance among many, concrete evidence remains elusive. An artifact that's frequently brought into this debate is the 15th century Kirkwall scroll from Scotland. This intricate tapestry, adorned with various symbols, has been interpreted by some as depicting Templar and Gnostic iconography. The validity of such claims, however, remains shrouded in doubt, with skeptics postulating the possibility of the scroll being a later-day forgery. The American Masonic community of the early 20th century, seemingly undeterred by the ambiguities, embraced the Templar legend. In 1919, their youth auxiliary was christened the De Molay, in tribute to Jacques de Mille, the last Templar Grand Master who faced a fiery demise in 1314. Historian John Robinson further fanned the flames of this theory with his 1989 publication, Born in Blood. Robinson delves deep into the 1381 Peasants' Revolt in England, postulating that this upheaval was orchestrated by underground Templars, driven by vengeance against the church and monarchy. Though Robinson's narrative is compelling, it often treads on thin ice, occasionally relying on speculation. He challenges conventional depictions of medieval Mason guilds, contending they weren't the unions of popular imagination. Instead, Robinson paints them as employer associations, dominated by master masons who exerted control over subordinates. He surmises that these pseudo-Masonic guilds, possibly set up by covert Templars, underscore the obsession with secrecy. This theory gains some credence when considering that the Knights Templar indeed had an internal sect, aptly titled the Brother Masons. It's essential to understand that the practice of disguising political agendas as labor associations wasn't exclusive to the Templars. Take, for instance, the revolutionary Carbonari or charcoal burners of the early 19th century spanning Italy and France. While genuine charcoal burner brotherhoods existed, the Carbonari, many of whom identified as Freemasons, co-opted this identity to mask their revolutionary undertakings. British Freemasonry, however, carved its niche independently of these speculations. From the inception of 300 lodges, the organization witnessed an exponential growth. By the 1860s, there were 1,000 lodges, and the number swelled to 2,000 by the 1880s. By the dawn of the 20th century, the figure touched an impressive 3,000. These lodges weren't restricted to Britain alone. They flourished across the vast expanse of the British Empire. Among the order's eminent members was Rudyard Kipling, the poet laureate of British imperialism. While Kipling sung praises of the Brotherhood in his literary works, notably in The Man Who Would Be King, the British Masonic population, numbering around 250,000 in 1900, remained a modest fraction of the larger populace, while Freemasonry attracted many from the upper echelons of society. For some, it lacked the exclusivity and gravitas they sought. One such individual was Cecil Rhodes, an arch-imperialist who played a pivotal role in shaping British South Africa and spearheading ventures like the De Beers Diamond Cartel. Though initially drawn to Freemasonry in the 1870s, Rhodes soon became disenchanted, perceiving the order's rituals as frivolous. His ambitions were grander, envisioning a unified Anglo-Saxon empire spanning the globe. As a testament to his lofty aspirations, Rhodes founded his own clandestine assembly, the Society of the Elect. This group, comprising select statesmen, financiers, and industrial magnates, was poised to reshape geopolitical landscapes. The evolution of Freemasonry and its intertwining narratives with historical events and personalities exemplifies its dynamic nature. It's an institution steeped in lore, intrigue, and a relentless quest for enlightenment that has captivated minds for centuries. Abith's unfortunate demise at the hands of 3 apprentices who were undeserving of their mentor's trust created a deep impact in Masonic mythology. Understandably, the real inception of Freemasonry remained clouded in uncertainty. This ambiguous history provided ample opportunities for enthusiasts to inject their own theories and narratives into the mix. One particularly intriguing theory proposed that Freemasonry might have had its roots in the renowned Knights Templars from the time of the Crusades. While many chose to believe in this Templar-Freemason link, there was little to no documentation that could offer any substantial evidence. Among the few pieces that were commonly referenced was the 15th century Kirkwall scroll from Scotland. This tapestry, beautifully detailed, was believed by some to contain symbolic depictions of both Templar and Gnostic affiliations. The authenticity of this document remains debated, with some considering it a potential forgery from a later period. However, in the absence of conclusive evidence, several assumptions flourished, and American Masons, in the year 1919, even went as far as naming their youth auxiliary, the Demolets, in tribute to Jacques Desmoulins, the last known Templar Grand Master who met a fiery end in 1314. The historian, John Robinson, took it upon himself to provide a more solid connection between the Templars and Freemasons in his book, Born in Blood, published in 1989. His primary focus was on the 1381 Peasants' Revolt in England. Robinson theorized that a covert Great Society behind this revolt might have been a secret Templar conspiracy seeking revenge against both the Church and the Crown. While his evidence provided interesting conjectures, they were ultimately unconvincing. For example, Robinson postulated that the guilds of medieval Masons, which we often perceive as a kind of trade union, were not such in essence. They were led and dominated by master Masons who often relegated their junior members to roles of laborers or indentured servants. It led Robinson to suggest that the Templars, rather than assimilating with genuine Mason guilds, established their own facade of Masonic guilds to maintain their secrecy. This theory is supported by the fact that the Knights Templar had their own sect of Brother Masons. The survival of most Templar organizations after the crackdown hinted at the likelihood of these Brother Masons' continued existence. Historical archives have recorded other instances where political conspiracy was disguised as a workers' association. One example is the revolutionary carbonari or charcoal burners of early 19th century Italy and France. While legitimate charcoal burner brotherhoods did exist, many members of the carbonari, some of whom were Freemasons, appropriated the name and terms to shield their revolutionary agendas. It provided a seemingly innocent excuse for nocturnal gatherings deep within the woods. However, the connection between the Freemasons and the Templars remains primarily speculative. The British Freemasonry, with time, evolved into a secretive fraternity of the elite. By the onset of the 20th century, it burgeoned with around 3,000 lodges. Many of these were scattered throughout the empire. Rudyard Kipling, the celebrated poet of British imperialism and a proud Mason, extolled the virtues of the brotherhood in his works, particularly in The Man Who Would Be King. Despite this proliferation, it's essential to note that the 250,000 British Freemasons at the dawn of the 20th century was merely a drop in the vast ocean of the nearly 40 million British citizens. This count seems even more minuscule when one considers the imperial population of approximately 400 million. However, it was evident that the majority of the Freemasons belonged to the upper echelons of society, men who had already amassed wealth and power. Yet for some, like Cecil Rhodes, the famed architect behind the formation of British South Africa, the De Beers Diamond Syndicate, and the Boer War, Freemasonry was neither exclusive nor earnest enough. While he initially joined a Masonic lodge in the 1870s, he grew disenchanted by its rites, which he found both ridiculous and absurd. Rhodes harbored grand visions. He aspired to bring the entirety of the uncivilized world under the British banner, reclaim the United States, and amalgamate the Anglo-Saxon race into a single empire. These grand ambitions went hand in hand with his designs for South Africa's vast resources of gold and diamonds. Additionally, to further his objectives, Rhodes established his own covert group named the Society of the Elect, meticulously handpicking its members from the echelons of statesmen, financiers, and magnates. In continuation, it's imperative to realize that not every member of the Freemasonry harbored imperialist loyalties, as seen with the likes of Kipling and Rhodes. The Grand Lodge of England was notorious for being selective, deeming certain Masonic factions as irregular or clandestine. These irregular groups were often magnets for dissenters of both moral and political orientations. A prime example of this is the infamous occultist, Aleister Crowley, who was often deemed the wickedest man in the world. Although the Grand Lodge vehemently denied any ties with Crowley, even disputing his claims of being a Freemason, Crowley was not shy in boasting about the myriad of Masonic degrees he had received from French, Mexican, and other lodges worldwide. Prominent mystical societies that Crowley was associated with, like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the Ordo Templi Orientis, traced their origins back to Masonic traditions. For instance, the Ordo Templi Orientis was initially conceived as a Masonic academy. Its aim was to amalgamate Masonic rituals with various mystical orders, culminating in the birth of an esoteric and unified occult Freemasonry. Another clandestine sect was Co-Masonry, which believed in the initiation of both men and women. This practice, which sought its inception in some French lodges of the 18th century, made a resurgence in 1893 with the establishment of the Parisian lodge, La Dot Humaine, or Human Right. Later, English occultists, who had affiliations with the esoteric Theosophical Society, took control of co-Masonry. Theosophy, as a doctrine, aspired to blend the mystical traditions of both the East and West, forging a universal occult belief system. This would lay the foundational stones for what we recognize today as the New Age movement. Among the Theosophists, there were individuals like Annie Besant, an Englishwoman with a myriad of political aspirations. She played a crucial role in molding co-Masonry into an extension of Theosophy. Besant was a woman of radical beliefs, ranging from socialism, vehement support for Indian nationalism, to eventually dabbling with communism. The Freemasonry that she propagated was diametrically opposite to the Virgin, championed by the likes of Rudyard Kipling. It's imperative to realize that while political discussions were officially frowned upon within the confines of a lodge, the implementation of this rule was inherently challenging. Given the selectiveness of Masonic lodges, where even a single opposing vote could overshadow a candidate's aspirations, these lodges often became echo chambers. Members frequently found themselves surrounded by individuals who held more or less similar viewpoints. Given the veil of secrecy that shrouded these lodges, the relationships formed within could take on a different hue outside the lodge premises. In essence, these Masonic lodges became breeding grounds for political conspiracies. The most evident manifestation of this was seen within French Freemasonry and its subsequent offshoots and influences. Interestingly, even the roots of French Freemasonry can be traced back to English origins. The early lodges were established by British merchants in Dunkirk around the year 1721. By 1733, the Grand Lodge de France was founded. Initially, it was predominantly English-speaking and was seen as an extension of the London Grand Lodge. However, as the decades passed, in 1773, the French Masons laid the foundation for a new Grand Lodge named the Grand Orient de France. This new order was deeply influenced by the radical ideologies of the Enlightenment, contrary to English Freemasonry, which solidified its position as the backbone of the social structure. The Grand Orient became a hotbed for revolutionary thoughts and ideals. This radicalism was passed down to other lodges in various nations like Italy, Germany, Turkey, and Russia. It's not mere coincidence that the motto liberty, equality, and fraternity of the Grand Orient became synonymous with the French Revolution. This revolutionary streak was most evident in the Parisian lodge called the Nine Sisters, which was established in 1776. This was a monumental year, marking the inception of both the Bavarian Illuminati and the American Revolution. Prominent figures of the era, like the American revolutionary Benjamin Franklin and the famed French philosopher Voltaire, were initiates of the Nine Sisters. Their association with this lodge underscores the significant influence Freemasonry had on historical events and personalities. However, these revolutionary inclinations did not go unnoticed. The Catholic Church, in particular, viewed Freemasonry with increasing skepticism. In 1738, Pope Clement XI voiced his concerns by issuing the first edict against Freemasonry. He believed that the fraternity's obsession with maintaining secrecy was indicative of their malevolent intentions. If their motives were noble, he argued, they would not detest the light so vehemently. This mutual distrust came to a head in France during the 1890s with the eruption of the so-called Taxil hoax. Joseph Jorgen Paget, a journalist, an ex-Freemason, and an occasional writer of risque literature, sought to capitalize on the prevalent public anxiety surrounding Freemasonry. He began authoring sensationalist books under pseudonyms like Leo Taxil and Dr. Bataille. His narratives intertwined Freemasonry with Satanism, suggesting that the fraternity was governed by a satanic cult named the Palladians, headquartered in the unlikeliest of places, Charleston, South Carolina. He further sensationalized his tales by introducing a fictional character named Diana Vaughan, who he claimed was the descendant of the 17th century British alchemist and Rosicrucian Thomas Vaughan. Diana's stories revolved around grotesque rituals, including black masses and child sacrifices. In 1897, to the shock of many, including the Vatican, Paget announced that his tales were entirely fabricated and that Diana was a mere figment of his imagination. Despite this confession, some individuals chose to cling to the belief in the authenticity of his stories. The overarching message that one must glean from this discourse is that Freemasonry, in its essence, is not monolithic. Instead, it's a multifaceted entity, constantly evolving and adapting. The beliefs and practices prevalent in one lodge might be starkly different from another. This inherent ambiguity is a direct result of Freemasonry's origins being shrouded in mystery. In the absence of concrete historical records, narratives were invented, molded, and adapted. Consequently, people often perceive what aligns with their predispositions and beliefs, leading to a myriad of interpretations and assumptions. Dive deep into the mysteries of Freemasonry with us. If you enjoyed this journey, hit the thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more intriguing explorations. Stay curious, and see you next time.